Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Kha'Zix teamfighting guide. I hope you learned something from the previous example on how to avoid damage with Void Assault. So in this video we're going to be looking at how to read the enemy's actions. But before we do that, I want to quickly go over something that a lot of people have been asking me, and that is how to play from behind. So when you're behind, it means that you are not as important as you are when you're ahead. You need to be relying more on your team to do things rather than trying to carry the game yourself. This means being more of a team player and working alongside them to secure objectives and kills, rather than trying to do it all on your own. You don't really need to change up your builds or anything, but instead just change your playstyle so you work with your team more. So when it comes to reading the enemy, there is one main rule. It's fairly easy to learn, but in the end it all comes down to how you make the enemy act. This rule is about predicting the most optimal time for an opponent to throw out their CC or skill shot, and this is what I like to call the panic situation. I'm going to go over a quick example demonstrating the panic situation in hopes that you get an idea for the concept. So let's get straight into the first example. So if you watched my latest montage, you may have noticed that there are a few instances where I narrowly avoid skill shots using Void Assault, and the way I do this is I force the enemy to behave in a certain way while predicting what they're gonna do next. Usually people only have a few select ways of approaching a situation, and it's all about a matter of reading the situation yourself and drawing out the outcome that is most likely to happen. So I'm gonna play this clip over. This is a video that I actually uploaded a while ago, but I'm just gonna play it over for the sake of it. Alright, so you saw how I dodged the cocoon, correct? This is what I call the panic situation, as I said before. This is fairly easy to predict if you initiate with your jump. However, it might be a little harder if you just walk up to them, but that's exactly the reason why I use my jump here. So, let's start. I'm gonna find the Elise here, and before she has a chance to react, as soon as I see her, I'm just gonna jump, right? And what this jump does, is it scares her, right? She begins to panic. And that's why I call it the panic situation, because people will do this all the time. They're like, oh wow, this guy just jumped at me. I'm gonna be taking a lot of damage. I better throw out my CC to stop him from dealing damage to me, right? This is how it works. This is how the human, the mind works. It's very easy to predict when you play the game for so long. You end up picking this sort of stuff up, So, yeah, I jump on her. She's panicking right now because I just used my jump, and she's gonna say, oh wow, this guy just finished his jump, and I'm in trouble. I need to throw out my CC. So she throws out her CC, but I already know she's gonna do that, right? This is what you call reading the enemy. Like, you panicked her, so she's gonna react in a way that keeps herself safe in the shortest amount of time. So she's gonna throw out the skill shot at me because she thinks I'm an easy target because I just landed I finished my leap. But I already know she's gonna do that. So what I do is, all I need to do is just Void Assault and dodge it. Simple. Very simple. And then I just flash on her for the kill. Yeah, you might think that, you didn't need to flash if you didn't waste your jump at the start. Yeah, you're right. I didn't. But this is just an example of reading the enemy and the panic situation. So you can do this in a team fight or whenever a situation like this comes up. And this isn't just about team fighting. This is a combat situation in general. It also applies to team fighting as well. But any combat situation where you're faced with like a dangerous skill shot to you, you can do this to anyone, really. It's very simple, so long as you just know how to read the enemy. So one more time. I jump on her to start the panic situation. She goes, oh wow, this guy's scary. I'm taking a lot of damage. I need to hurry up and CC him. So once I land, I'm standing still for a few seconds, and that's when she believes that I'm the easiest, it's the easiest time to hit me with that cocoon. So all I need to do is Void Assault that, because it was so predictable, and then just flash on her for the kill. So I really hope you got that. I'm trying to make it a little quicker because a few people had a problem with the last video in terms of length. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I hope you understood that. We'll go on to the next example. Okay, here is the next example on the panic situation. I'm just going to play the clip over really quickly. And that was it. Right, so you saw how the Orianna used the ultimate and Gragas used his body slam. I read them both, and I will show you how I did it. So let me go back to the... Okay. One moment. So what I was thinking, before I jumped in, I had to know two things. So I knew that Orianna had her ultimate up, and I knew that Gragas had his E, or his body slam up. And because I knew these two things, I am now prepared to avoid them after I start the panic situation. So when I jump in, I know that Orianna's gonna react in a way that keeps her safe in the shortest amount of time, so she's gonna pop her ultimate, and the Gragas is going to try and save that Orianna, so obviously he's gonna use his body slam to try and stop me. But I know this is going to happen, and all I needed to do is, instead of using my passive and putting myself in a bad position, I immediately use Void Assault and walk out. Pretty simple. So yeah, let me just go over the mindset of these two players. So Orianna's gonna think, oh shit, I'm in danger. I'm gonna take a lot of damage, so I'm gonna keep myself safe. And that will cause her to use her ultimate. And since I predict this, I can dodge it easily. And with Gragas, Gragas is going to think, oh shit, my Orianna is in danger. So I'm going to try and stop the Kha'Zix from killing her. And he proceeds to use his body slam and dies. Dies as a cost of missing that body slam. Because I predicted it. I mean, these abilities are fairly telegraphed once you know the panic situation. Because, I don't know, people will most likely want to use important abilities or CC on an assassin who has so much kill potential. And it's all about reading those important abilities and just being prepared for them. So yeah. Also one more thing. Provided that I used my passive auto attack on the Orianna here, I would have gotten caught in the CC during my attack animation. So instead of using my passive auto attack out of greed, I instead just forget about the passive auto attack and I immediately run away. So sometimes it's not always about dealing damage, it's more about just using yourself as bait to draw out important abilities. And this is how you make an impact in teamfights. A lot of people will just sit back and don't really do anything and wait for opportunities, but if you want to play Kha'Zix successfully, you need to take more risks in the teamfights and know your limits more. So yeah, that's it for this guide. I hope you learned something about the panic situation. Hopefully these two examples help you out, and I might make a part 3. I'm not sure yet, but we'll have to see. Thank you guys for watching. I strongly recommend you go over the panic situation more in your games and see what you can do better in these teamfights. Thank you very much for watching.